Hello there, my brilliant students, and welcome back to another episode here on The Pillow Professor, the place where you can learn fascinating things while drifting off into the sweetest dreams. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight because we're about to embark on a journey through one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in human history, the mighty Roman Empire. In this episode, we'll explore how Rome grew from a small city on the banks of the Tiber River into an empire that spanned continents, how its people lived, how its legions conquered, and why its legacy still shapes our world today. So, snuggle up, get cozy, and prepare for an adventure across centuries. And before we dive in, my wonderful students, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoy it. Subscribe to The Pillow Professor for more fascinating tales to drift off to, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. And if there's something new you learnt today, or a fact that surprised you, please share it in the comments. I absolutely love hearing from you. Let's start right at the beginning, in a time of myths and legends. The story of Rome's founding is one of those wonderful blends of history and storytelling that makes ancient times so enchanting. According to legend, Rome was founded in 753 BCE by the twin brothers Romulus and Remus, who were said to be the sons of the god Mars, and a Vestal virgin named Rhea Silvia. As babies, they were abandoned on the banks of the Tiber River, only to be saved and nurtured by a she-wolf in her den. It's a powerful symbol, isn't it? A she-wolf, fierce and protective, raising the founders of an empire destined for greatness. In truth, the real early history of Rome is less dramatic but still fascinating. It began as a collection of small settlements on the hills surrounding the Tiber. These settlements eventually united, giving rise to a small city-state that would gradually grow into a regional power. The early Romans were influenced by their neighbours, the Etruscans to the north, and the Greeks in the south of Italy. They borrowed religious ideas, architecture, and even their alphabet from these cultures, blending them into a unique Roman identity that was both practical and deeply traditional. As Rome grew, so too did its political ambitions. Around 509 BCE, Romans overthrew their last king and declared a republic. This was a pivotal moment in world history, marking the beginning of a new experiment in governance, where power was held not by monarchs, but by elected officials and the people, at least in theory. The Roman Republic was a complex system filled with checks and balances. There were consuls who led the government and the army, a senate made up of wealthy patricians, and assemblies where ordinary citizens, known as plebeians, could vote on laws. But politics in Rome was never simple. The patricians and plebeians often found themselves in bitter struggles for power and rights. Over time, reforms slowly gave the plebeians more say, although true equality was always elusive. Despite these internal tensions, Rome's republican model was revolutionary. It inspired countless future governments. From the founding fathers of the United States to modern democracies today. Yet, for all its lofty ideals, the Republic was also plagued by corruption, political rivalry, and the ambitions of powerful individuals who sought to bend the system to their will. One of the most extraordinary aspects of Rome's story is how it expanded its territory. From controlling just the Italian peninsula, Rome eventually stretched its reach across vast swathes of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. This wasn't merely due to luck, it was thanks to the incredible discipline and organization of the Roman legions. Roman soldiers were professional, highly trained, and famous for their discipline. A Roman legion was like a finely tuned machine, capable of building forts overnight, marching incredible distances, and fighting with brutal efficiency. Their tactics, such as the testudo or tortoise formation, where soldiers locked their shields together, became legendary. Rome's expansion was also driven by alliances, treaties, and sometimes sheer ruthlessness. The Punic Wars against Carthage were some of the most significant conflicts in Roman history. The second of these wars saw the brilliant Carthaginian general Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants to invade Italy, a feat that stunned the ancient world. But despite suffering massive losses, Rome's resilience shone through, and they eventually crushed Carthage, paving the way for domination of the Western Mediterranean. But Rome wasn't just about soldiers and conquests. It was also a vibrant, bustling society filled with innovation, culture, and everyday life. The Roman Empire was a melting pot of peoples and cultures, thanks to its vast territories. In cities like Rome, Alexandria, and Carthage, one could hear dozens of languages spoken, see temples dedicated to foreign gods, and taste foods from faraway lands. Romans were extraordinary builders. They constructed magnificent roads, aqueducts that carried fresh water over great distances, grand public baths, amphitheatres like the Colosseum, and monumental temples. The phrase "all roads lead to Rome" wasn't just poetic, it was a logistical marvel. Their roads connected the empire, enabling the movement of troops, goods, and ideas. Daily life for Romans varied greatly depending on one's social class. Wealthy elites enjoyed luxurious villas, elaborate feasts, and entertainment such as gladiatorial games, chariot races, and theatrical performances. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens and slaves led more modest lives, working as craftsmen, merchants, farmers, or labourers. Yet even the poor could enjoy public spectacles, thanks to Rome's policy of bread and circuses, which kept the masses fed and entertained to maintain social order. No story of the Roman Empire is complete without examining its decline. It's a topic historians have debated for centuries. The empire grew so vast that managing it became increasingly difficult. Economic troubles, political instability, and relentless invasions by barbarian tribes all contributed to Rome's gradual weakening. One of the most critical moments was the division of the empire into east and west under Emperor Diocletian in the late 3rd century CE. This was an attempt to make governing such an enormous territory more manageable. While the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, would survive for another 1,000 years, the Western Roman Empire faced insurmountable challenges. By 476 CE, the last Roman emperor in the West, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. Though this date is often marked as the fall of Rome, the truth is far more complex. Roman culture, law, and language continued to shape Europe long after the emperors were gone. The legacy of Rome lived on through the Catholic Church, medieval kingdoms, Renaissance thinkers, and modern governments. Even today, echoes of Rome resonate in our architecture, languages, legal systems, and countless aspects of daily life. No figure looms larger in the twilight of the Republic than Julius Caesar. He was a brilliant general, a master politician, and a man whose ambition ultimately changed Rome forever. After a string of impressive military victories, including his conquest of Gaul, Caesar returned to Rome hailed as a hero. But his growing power made many senators uneasy. When Caesar famously crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BCE, he defied the Senate and plunged Rome into civil war. Victorious, he became dictator for life, consolidating unprecedented control over Rome's political system. Yet even his charisma and reforms couldn't protect him from betrayal. In 44 BCE, Caesar was assassinated on the Ides of March by senators who believed they were saving the Republic. Instead, his death unleashed more chaos and paved the way for a new political reality, the rise of the Roman Empire. After Caesar's death, Rome descended into another series of brutal civil wars. Out of this turmoil emerged Caesar's adopted heir Octavian, who would become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Augustus was a political genius, carefully maintaining the illusion of republican institutions while holding absolute power behind the scenes. Under Augustus, Rome entered a golden age known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. He reformed the government, stabilized the economy, and sponsored grand building projects that transformed Rome into a city of marble. His rule marked the beginning of imperial Rome, where emperors rather than elected officials would hold supreme authority for centuries to come. Not all emperors ruled like Augustus. The history of imperial Rome is filled with a fascinating cast of characters, ranging from wise and capable rulers to those whose names became synonymous with excess and cruelty. Emperors like Trajan and Hadrian expanded and strengthened the empire, building great monuments and securing its borders. But others left darker legacies. Nero, for instance, is infamous for his extravagance and is often blamed, perhaps unfairly, for the Great Fire of Rome. Then there was Caligula, whose reign was marked by bizarre behavior and cruelty that shocked even his contemporaries. These personalities shaped not just Rome's history, but also its enduring myths and legends, fueling tales that continue to captivate the modern imagination. The might of Rome rested on the discipline and strength of its legions. Being a Roman soldier was both an honor and a grueling challenge. Young men joined the army seeking glory, steady pay, and perhaps the chance for citizenship if they were from the provinces. A legionary's life involved relentless training, strict discipline, and harsh punishments for failure. They carried heavy gear, constructed forts, built roads, and often found themselves stationed in far-off corners of the empire. Yet their loyalty and skill were unmatched, and the army became both a tool of conquest and a vital force in maintaining Rome's stability. Religion was woven into every aspect of Roman life. Romans worshipped a pantheon of gods borrowed from the Greeks but given Latin names: Jupiter, Juno, Mars, Venus, and many others. Religious rituals were part of politics, war, and daily living, as Romans believed that divine favor was crucial for success. Yet the religious landscape of Rome began to shift dramatically in the first few centuries CE. Christianity, once a small and persecuted sect, spread rapidly across the empire. Despite brutal crackdowns, the new faith gained converts among all classes. Eventually, under Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century CE, Christianity was legalized and later became the official religion of the Roman Empire, transforming Roman identity forever. Few images of Rome are as iconic as the roaring crowds of the Colosseum, watching gladiators fight for survival. Gladiatorial games were not just entertainment, they were political tools used by emperors to gain favor and distract the populace. Gladiators could be slaves, prisoners of war, or even volunteers seeking fame and fortune. Their battles, though deadly, followed strict rules and rituals. Some gladiators achieved celebrity status, admired and adored like modern sports stars. The games reflected Rome's cultural values of courage, honor, and the power of spectacle, leaving a legacy that echoes in sports and entertainment to this day. Rome was a civilization of builders. From towering aqueducts to intricate sewage systems, their engineering prowess was unmatched in the ancient world. They perfected the use of concrete, allowing them to construct massive, enduring structures like the Pantheon, whose dome still stands as the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome. Roman roads, built with meticulous layers of stone and gravel, stretched thousands of miles, linking distant provinces to the heart of the empire. These engineering marvels weren't just practical, they symbolized Roman order, power, and ambition. While Roman society was patriarchal, women still played crucial roles in both private and public life. Elite women like Livia, the wife of Augustus, wielded significant influence behind the scenes, advising their husbands and shaping imperial policy. In daily life, Roman women managed households, ran businesses, and participated in religious ceremonies. Though they couldn't vote or hold official political office, their presence was felt in every sphere of society. Their lives reflected a complex mix of freedom and limitation, offering a window into the dynamics of gender and power in ancient Rome. It's easy to focus on the grandeur of Rome itself, but the empire stretched far beyond its capital. Life in the provinces varied widely depending on location, local customs, and the presence of Roman settlers. In places like Gaul, Britain, and Egypt, Roman culture mingled with local traditions, creating unique blends of art, religion, and architecture. Provincial towns adopted Roman laws, coinage, and infrastructure, benefiting from the Pax Romana's stability and trade, yet tensions sometimes simmered beneath the surface, erupting into revolts when local populations resisted Roman rule. Still, many provincial communities flourished, leaving behind archaeological treasures that continue to reveal the diversity of the Roman world. After the fall of Rome in the West, the idea of Rome lived on. Medieval kings styled themselves as emperors, seeking to inherit Rome's mantle of authority. The Renaissance brought renewed admiration for Roman art, architecture, and literature. Even today, we walk on Roman roads, live under laws inspired by Roman principles, and speak languages derived from Latin. The Roman Empire's impact on government, law, language, architecture, and culture is immeasurable. Whether we realize it or not, we live in the shadow of Rome. Its story is a reminder of how civilizations rise and fall, but also how their influence can echo through the ages, shaping generations yet unborn. Rome wasn't just built on military might, it thrived on commerce. Traders carried goods from one end of the empire to the other, thanks to the incredible network of Roman roads and secure sea routes patrolled by Roman fleets. Spices, silks, exotic animals, glassware, and perfumes poured into Rome from as far away as India and China, while Roman pottery, wine, and olive oil found markets across the Mediterranean. The Silk Road, though not a single road but rather a series of trade routes, linked Rome to the distant east. Though few Romans ever set eyes on Chinese silk weavers, they eagerly bought luxurious silk garments that symbolized status and wealth. Trade made Rome cosmopolitan, filling its markets with wonders from distant lands and contributing to the vibrant, diverse culture that defined the empire. Another cornerstone of Rome's legacy is its legal system. Roman law evolved over centuries, shaping principles that continue to influence legal codes worldwide. The 12 Tables, carved into bronze tablets in the 5th century BCE, were Rome's first attempt at publicly codifying laws, ensuring that even the poorest citizens knew their rights. As Rome grew, so did its legal sophistication. Jurists debated cases, crafted legal opinions, and established concepts such as contracts, wills, and citizenship rights. Even after the Western Empire fell, Roman law lived on, preserved and expanded by the Byzantine Empire in the famous compilation known as the Justinian Code. When modern nations crafted their own legal systems, they often turned to Roman law as their blueprint, a testament to Rome's enduring influence on justice and governance. The Roman Empire produced a dazzling array of art and literature, capturing the essence of its people, politics, and passions. Roman sculptors mastered lifelike portraits, chiseling emperors and generals with astonishing realism. Their mosaics decorated villas and public buildings, vibrant scenes capturing mythological tales, daily life, and stunning landscapes. In literature, Rome gifted the world great poets and historians. Virgil's Aeneid became Rome's national epic, telling the tale of Aeneas and the founding of Rome. Ovid's poetry explored love and transformation, while historians like Livy, Tacitus, and Suetonius recorded Rome's triumphs and scandals for posterity. These works not only entertained and informed Romans, but continue to enlighten and inspire readers today, offering glimpses into a civilization both grand and deeply human. Romans loved to enjoy themselves, and leisure was an important part of life across all social classes. The empire was dotted with public baths where citizens bathed, exercised, socialized, and even conducted business. For a few coins, one could spend hours moving from steaming hot rooms to refreshing cold plunges, chatting with friends or relaxing in marble courtyards. Beyond the baths, Romans flocked to theatres for comedies and tragedies, or to the Circus Maximus for thrilling chariot races where crowds cheered their favourite teams with fervour. Festivals honoured gods and emperors alike, filling streets with music, feasting, and vibrant processions. For Romans, entertainment wasn't just diversion, it was woven into the fabric of civic life, creating a shared cultural identity that helped bind the empire together. Despite its might, Rome faced constant threats from powerful rivals. In the east, the Parthians, and later the Sassanid Persians, tested Rome's borders in a series of long, bitter conflicts. These empires matched Rome's power and diplomacy, turning the eastern frontier into a zone of intrigue and shifting alliances. In the north, Germanic tribes like the Goths, Vandals, and Franks became increasingly formidable. While early Roman armies repelled invasions, over time these groups learned Roman tactics, formed powerful confederations, and even served as mercenaries in Rome's own armies. Eventually, some of these very tribes would contribute to the collapse of the Western Empire. Rome's enemies were more than mere barbarians. They were dynamic peoples whose interactions with Rome shaped the destiny of Europe. The Roman economy was as complex as the empire itself. At its core were bustling markets where merchants sold everything from local produce to luxury imports. Roman coins, gold auri, silver denarii, and bronze sesterces moved through every transaction, stamped with images of emperors and symbols of power. Taxes funded the empire's vast bureaucracy, military campaigns, and monumental building projects. Provinces paid tribute in money, grain, or goods, ensuring Rome's grain stores remained full and the populace content. Yet, economic troubles were never far away. Inflation, currency debasement, and corrupt tax collection all contributed to financial crises that strained the empire, particularly in its final centuries. Still, Rome's economic networks tied the Mediterranean world together, creating prosperity that sustained an empire for centuries. Education was highly valued in Roman society, especially among the elite. Young boys and occasionally girls from wealthy families began their schooling with reading, writing, and arithmetic under the guidance of a teacher known as a ludus master. The curriculum often included memorizing poetry, studying rhetoric, and learning Latin and Greek, as bilingual fluency was a mark of sophistication. Higher education focused on oratory, philosophy, and law, preparing future statesmen, lawyers, and administrators. Rome's intellectual life thrived in libraries and scholarly circles, where philosophers debated ideas from Stoicism to Epicureanism. Education wasn't merely about personal advancement. It shaped the leaders and thinkers who guided Rome through centuries of change. Rome's power wasn't limited to its legions on land. The empire also commanded one of the most formidable navies of the ancient world. The Roman navy began in earnest during the Punic Wars, when Rome realized it had to challenge Carthage's maritime dominance. Through ingenuity and determination, Romans built fleets equipped with innovations like the corvus, a boarding device that turned naval battles into infantry skirmishes. The navy protected shipping lanes, suppressed piracy, and transported troops swiftly across the Mediterranean. Coastal cities like Ostia buzzed with the arrival of cargo ships carrying grain, olive oil, and exotic goods. Thanks to its navy, Rome could project power far beyond its shores, maintaining control over a vast maritime empire. Behind Rome's splendor lay a harsh reality. Slavery was a fundamental part of Roman society. Slaves worked in households, fields, mines, workshops, and even as teachers and doctors. Some were captured in war, others were born into servitude, and a few managed to buy their freedom and became citizens. Slave revolts, like the famous uprising led by Spartacus, exposed the tensions bubbling beneath Rome's social order. Though brutally suppressed, these rebellions reminded Rome's leaders of the delicate balance they maintained. Slavery fueled the economy and allowed the elite to live lives of leisure, but it also sowed seeds of resentment and fear that haunted Roman society for centuries. Rome's architecture wasn't merely functional, it was an expression of imperial power and aesthetic grandeur. From triumphal arches celebrating military victories to massive basilicas serving as courts and meeting halls, Rome's buildings proclaimed its might. The Colosseum awed spectators with its towering arches and ingenious design, while the Pantheon's vast dome remains a marvel of engineering and elegance. Emperors adorned Rome with temples, forums, and baths, transforming the city into a monument to their rule. Provincial cities mimicked Rome's architecture, creating miniature Romes across the empire. Even in ruins, Roman architecture continues to inspire awe, reminding us that the empire's ambition was written not only in history, but in stone and marble for all time. And there we have it, my brilliant students, a grand journey through the rise, the glory, and the enduring legacy of the Roman Empire. From the legendary twins raised by a she-wolf to emperors who ruled over lands stretching from Britain to the sands of the Middle East, Rome's story is one of ambition, innovation, and extraordinary resilience. We've wandered through marble streets and bustling marketplaces, stood beside legionaries as they marched into distant lands, marveled at towering aqueducts and the echoing arches of the Colosseum, and peered into the lives of emperors, senators, slaves, and scholars. We've explored how Rome built a civilization whose language, laws, architecture, and spirit still shape our world today. The Roman Empire wasn't merely a chapter in history, it was a force that transformed everything it touched. Its fall wasn't the end, but rather the beginning of new worlds rising from its ashes, carrying forward ideas and traditions that continue to influence how we live, govern, build, and dream. So, as you drift off to sleep tonight, my wonderful students, let your imagination roam through marble halls and sunlit forums along roads that all lead to Rome. And remember, history is never just about the past, it's the story of who we are. If you enjoyed this journey, please give this video a like, subscribe to The Pillow Professor so you never miss a new adventure, and turn on those notifications. And I'd love to know in the comments what fascinated you most about the Roman Empire, or was there a fact tonight that surprised you? Thank you for spending this time with me. Until our next lesson, sleep well, dream big, and keep learning. Good night, my brilliant students.